Their over-under was 8.5. So here's the Bears' opponents. Take a look at this schedule. Of course, Ben Johnson, brand new. Nick, you want to start here? Bears?
No, I'll start. Over.
Over on the Bears.
Get ready for Wilds to yell at you.
I'm not yelling.
You were over last year, too.
Over.
So as were you.
8 of their 12.
And you had them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and we all were over on the Bears last year. Everyone at the table.
8 of their 12 losses were one-score losses. 5 of those 8, 5 of those were 3 or less. Like in the last moments of the we saw how they played Detroit. We saw how they lost against, obviously, the Commanders, some of these better teams. We expect Caleb to at least make if he makes a slight jump in progression. But we know what they're going to be better at out the gate, coaching. We know they're not going to have those.
I think they will, but it's not a fact.
Play calling, all the things that we talked about last year that kind of riddled this team at the beginning of the season when we were giving all the excuses for Caleb and why he wasn't coming out the gates like Jaden Daniels. It was, well, the coaches they're not helping them. They're not helping. We don't expect that this year. And you look at the pieces that they added, this team is going to be over.
Over.
You made it seem like you were going.
Y'all know I'm the king of misdirection. I just wanted to bring out the best in you. I wanted to make you prove your point. Now, we don't know for a fact Ben Johnson is going to be a great coach. I do think he'll be better.
By the way, he doesn't have to be a great coach to be better.
Correct.
He has to just
I
not be
think he'll
awful.
be good. You know, I was saying that's the guy they got to go get. Caleb showed me enough last year. If Caleb is close to what we think he is, then they should be good because they gave the dude tons of help. I'm going to be incredibly disappointed if the Bears aren't pretty good this year because Caleb Williams has the help. He's got the coach. It's in his second year. Quarterbacks are coming in, at least recently in the league now, and playing better right out of the gate. This is on Caleb. The pressure's on, and I think he's going to play well.
Are we going to put up their schedule? Because, I mean,
yeah, we did. Go ahead.
We just saw their schedule's tough.
I mean,
the schedule's tough.
It's not a cakewalk at all.
Oh, so now you're going back.
No, I'm not. I'm just.
And the division. I think they're the third best team in the
schedule,
division.
I still feel like they're going to be over. What it's going to look like and what is going to be required, I think last year experiencing some of those losses that they had, you have to learn how to win when you have a young quarterback. And some of those tough losses, especially after they lost to the Commanders, that losing streak that they went on, some of those losses that they had no business losing to the Patriots, it was like, what's going on with this team? I don't think you have that, and I think because of those types of losses, you get some of their healthy guys back.
I might go under when we make our prediction. That schedule is, woo.
Yeah, you look at that schedule, you start questioning a couple things.
Right.
Okay.
We can go on to the next one.
No, what do you got?
No,
He got him in the Super Bowl
I've got,
like he did last year.
if they beat the Niners, it'll be an over, and I think they're going to beat the Niners.
Do you not believe in Caleb?
No, obviously I have the over. Obviously, I have the over. I don't think that they're going to be the third best team in the division. I think they'll be the second best team in the division.
I think the division's going to be tight.
I think the division's going to be tight, but I am not as high on the Packers as I think Brew probably is. And I think the Vikings, take a step back this season, starting a rookie quarterback. And so I think they have a massive upgrade at offensive line and a massive upgrade at head coach. And I also think the Caleb... we saw enough really, really good from Caleb last year to make me feel good that he is the guy that I thought he could be, even though we saw way too much cautiousness, you know what I mean, taking sacks rather than throwing the ball. And so I didn't love that, but I think that Ben Johnson will be the best thing imaginable for him, and I think the Bears, I think that the schedule is, as you guys said, brutal. And it's weird for me because last year I thought they could make the Super Bowl. I don't think that's the case for them right now, but I do think they should be above 500. I do think they should be a playoff team.
Okay, weird.
Yeah. I mean, obviously saying that they were going to go to the Super Bowl was always an absurd take. Yeah. I'm super high on the Bears, as you guys know. But this schedule is for real. This is, especially the road schedule. I mean, like that's pretty wild. And like I'm saying in all these videos now, when I try to just get a baseline for the wins, I just try to take all the easy wins and all the easy losses and not overthink it at all. It's not saying that those are predictions. It's not saying that if you lose to the team, you can't beat them or vice versa. Like, this is just like the foundation, basic. Let's take the easy ones. If you knew nothing about, how football games actually unfold, just take the easy wins. And the home schedule, I'm like, should beat the Browns, should beat the Cowboys, should beat the Giants, should beat the Steelers, should beat the Saints. That's 5 right there. So the home schedule, we got it cooking. The Ravens, tough. Bengals, tough. Eagles, tough. Commanders, tough. Raiders and 49ers are the 2 biggest question marks right there. So I'll leave them off to the side. And again, technically maybe even the Bengals, because let's kind of see what their defense looks like. But, I think they'll be, I think they'll take a step forward as well. But if we just, if you had to just be, again, incredibly basic with trying to figure out wins and losses, the easy wins would be technically the Browns, the Cowboys, the Giants, the Steelers, the Saints. That's 5 right there. Then I'm looking at the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers. I have to imagine that they are going to at least win one game, at least 3 division games, 1 game each from the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers. Maybe not. Maybe they can't. I think they will. Heck, they practically almost did it last year in terms of beating the Lions and coming away with some of these wins that you should be like, you should have won this game, right? You should have won the game on Thanksgiving against the Lions, etc. So I look at that where I'm just kind of like, that should be 3 wins. And then, so there you are, you're at 8, right? Do you come away with another win? Do you beat the Packers twice, the Vikings twice? Do you beat the Eagles or the Commanders or the Ravens? Do the Eagles take a step back? Do the Bengals still have a mess of a defense? Does Jaden Daniels have a sophomore slump? Like, who really knows? I think there's also going to be a lot of vengeance. I think there's going to be fascinating games because we know this is also how Ben Johnson operates. I think first of all, Ben Johnson's going to want to continue to humiliate the Cowboys. So I think that's just embedded now into it. I think that's just the type of person where he's just like, I want to crush the Cowboys every single time I face them. We know he's going to want to beat the Lions. There's no way he's not going to want to just get after the Lions, especially if some of the fans from Detroit trying to act like Ben Johnson wasn't a big deal, trying to be like, oh, it wasn't really Ben Johnson. And even some players, not necessarily on offense, but trying to be like, oh, coaching doesn't matter that much. It's like, okay, sure, whatever you say. So he's going to come after that. And I think he's going to want redemption. I think he's going to, not redemption, but he's going to understand, because he wasn't part of it against the Commanders, but he understands how that all unfolded. And so a smart coach is going to ride that emotional, that kind of like emotional momentum. And he's going to want to know, he's going to be like, yo, like, this is kind of the game that everything kind of fell apart for in this season, was against the Commanders. Like, let's get out there. Let's get after it. And I think he's going to use that too. So, that's going to be kind of like a can't miss TV rematch between the Commanders and the Bears. And yeah, I'm excited for what this team can do. I have incredibly high hopes for them. But the schedule is for real, and that is, no matter what, even if the Eagles aren't as great as they were last year, or the Ravens, the Bengals, like, these are still highly functional teams that know what to do, know how to win big games, know how to go up against tough coaching, tough quarterbacks, etc., etc. Like, these are teams that are, they're blue-blooded. They've been consistently a top team in the NFL for years and years and years. Even the Bengals. I mean, I understand they've been uneven, but still, Joe Burrow and that offense is, you can't downplay that, even though they've obviously come up short plenty of times. Like, you're not going to act like the Bengals are a walk in the park. They're just not. So being on the road against Baltimore, Cincinnati, Philly, and Washington, those are 4 really, really hard road games, which, again, from my perspective, it's can't miss TV. Like, I can't wait. I can't wait to watch those games. And the Raiders and the 49ers are going to be fascinating, because I just made the video about the 49ers. There's some question marks. I think the 49ers are going to take a step forward from last season. I think that they can, be significantly better, but, who knows? I feel as though if this team continues to struggle with the 49ers, then things could kind of go south rather quickly. I'm not predicting that, but I'm also not predicting the 49ers to be this dominant team either. So I think, if anything, a team like the 49ers and the Bears will be very very evenly matched in that regard, potentially, at least in this immediate time, in terms of where they both are at their, in their own made up Super Bowl window time frame that they have. So I think, again, it's just like, once upon a time you would have said, oh, that's a tough game on the road, 49ers. No matter how competent I think the 49ers will be next season, I don't think that'll be a game where you're like, I'm expecting you to lose this game, and it'll be okay if you lose this game. Like, if the Bears go up against the Ravens and the Ravens are clearly like a really good team, I'm not going to be like, you got to beat the Ravens to preview this. I'm like, no, you lost to Lamar Jackson, you lost to the Ravens. They're 10-2 right now. Like, they're a top team in the NFL. It's okay to lose that game. It's okay. The Eagles are just as great as they were last year, or right around. Saquon Barkley's ripping it. Jalen Hurts is having a great season. That defense is still just as ferocious. I'm going to be like, listen, you're going up against Fangio, who's just, putting on a masterclass in the last 2 years defensively. He's a top defensive coach in the NFL, and Caleb, you're practically a rookie. That first year was nonsense. The second year, you're in your second year of your career. Like, it's okay to not look so great against those teams. Like, I could explain that away months before it even happens. It can make sense. I'm certainly not going to say that about a team like the Raiders or the 49ers in this moment in time, and certainly not the Browns, Cowboys, Giants, Steelers, or Saints, and quite frankly, even the Packers, Vikings, and Lions right now. So I see a lot of doors and windows open to get some wins there. It'll come down to, are the players that we think that the Bears have, are they good enough? Of course, health. And can Ben Johnson be a head coach? Can he truly be the head coach and take care of the things that he never had to take care of as an offensive coordinator? I 1000% believe in Ben Johnson from an offensive schematic and, game planning and play calling, etc. There are the question marks about him being a head coach, although based off of all the things that I saw from him, all the interviews, all the conversations, I think he's been great so far, so I don't have any doubts, really. There's still technically question marks, but not doubts, because it's a question mark because it is. You got to wait and see. I don't need to jump to the conclusion and automatically crown, Ben Johnson as being an amazing head coach, because, we don't need to do that here. But the last thing that I wanted to say was that I almost forgot to mention is that Greg Jennings was kind of like, or it might have been Brew, where he said, if Caleb is close to who we think he is, if just even close to who I think to who we think he is, this team will be really good. And from my viewpoint is, if Caleb Williams is actually exactly who he was just as a rookie, just based off of play calling and play design and the coaching from Ben Johnson, this team and this offense flows way better. Even if Caleb is making some bad throws and holding on the ball for too long, etc., just based off of Ben Johnson's offense and how he's going to run the offense, I see more wins. And I see Caleb looking better, even if technically he didn't actually get better, if that makes sense. Which, again, I believe he will be better, and I think he will grow and evolve as a quarterback. But even if he doesn't, I just think the sheer impact of Ben Johnson on this offense, and therefore Caleb, will already just elevate the offense, even if Caleb stays identical, right? He'll be a boat in the water that'll just rise with it. In a way, and I'm sure Bears fans don't want to hear this, but in a way, it's almost kind of cool how the season unfolded for the Bears last season, because it was such a mess. It was so kind of all over the place. People were so extreme with trying to say, Caleb is king and Caleb is a bust, Super Bowl MVP, a regular season MVP, to the worst pick ever, etc. And now we get to kind of see what it's like when you get a revamped team, new coaching, another year for Caleb. I think it's going to be just a fascinating experience to kind of see this team unfold and be able to compare the differences between the years. I think it'll be a front row seat in terms of how the NFL works. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Chicago Bears winning over 8.5 games? So, 9 or more. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.